For this DIY, I wanted to make a flag and I wanted to give it a little different approach. I've made a lot of coastal flags here on my channel and I wanted to do something besides starfish. And so I'm actually going to use dolphins and palm trees to make this flag. I have a square sign from the Dollar Tree, a red craft bag for the fabric, and then I found these napkins. They say they're from Target. I don't remember buying these at Target though. Maybe I did. I thought I bought them on Temu. I guess I could have bought them on Temu and they say Target. I don't know. But they are like a pastel turquoise color with white palm trees all over. So I thought the palm trees would make great stars for our flag. So I'm just going to decoupage that on to this section up here at the top. I thought that would be really fun, and I do want to use the wood panel since this is a wood panel sign. So I will cut kind of individual strips of this, but for this part, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a square down and Mod Podge this on. This napkin was actually pretty sturdy. Maybe the Target napkins are a little bit better than the ones I get at Dollar Tree for decoupage because I didn't have any problems with wrinkling or anything. I just put a very thin coat of Mod Podge on my wood sign, and I'm going to go right up here to the corner. And I thought this was a fun take for the star part of the flag. And it's just going to be a square flag, not a rectangular one. So you can kind of mix it up if you want. It's your flag. Once I got that dry, I went over it again with another thin coat of Mod Podge to seal that on there. And then I'm going to make the red part of the flag, actually most of it, is going to be this red craft fabric from the Dollar Tree. And what I want to do is make white dolphin stripes across it for the stripes. I thought that'd be really fun. But I thought this red fabric bag would add a fun texture to the sign. Gluing that on with Mod Podge as well for our stripes, and it's just the right size as you can see. There is a seam at the top though, so I will have to use the rest of that bag for my fourth and final stripe on this. But the bottom two sections are going to go all the way across. But again, I kind of want to work one section at a time. I did realize that you could see through it more than I thought, so I may have made this little section a little bit too wide, so I just cut it and kind of peeled off any of the excess napkin here because I noticed that you could see it through the red fabric. I didn't think you'd be able to, but you could, and I want it to be more of a square. And then I'm also going to kind of trim up this paper now that it's dry, cut off any of the napkin that is in the grooves, and also recut the hole there for the hanger. Now we can get started on the red fabric. I'm going to work with it in a couple of parts. So I cut it in half here so I can do the two stripes here at the bottom. And I want to try to use my straighter edges. I find that I cut a little bit straighter with a razor blade than I do with my scissors. So I'm going to use that for my straight line here. And I'm using a lot of Mod Podge for the fabric because I need it to be really strong to keep this on here. And then I just go over it with a dry paper towel to smooth that out, using my razor blade to cut that into the groove. I love these slatted board signs from the Dollar Tree. They are my favorite. They come in so many different shapes and sizes too, and some with frames, some without, like this one. And then I'm going to use my straight edge here that I cut here for the bottom, gluing that on with Mod Podge as well. And once that starts to dry, I can cut off the excess fabric there as well. The top two stripes are going to be a little bit smaller in size, but I think we can make that work around that part. And I wanted most of it to be red so that I could go over it with something white to make the stripes. That's why I'm not alternating like colors with the red and white stripes. And once I get it on there and starts to dry, I can kind of flip it over and cut off the excess fabric. Now, I was trying to be patient with this and letting it dry because these materials from the Dollar Tree, like these little craft bags are made out of, just do not respond well to heat. You'll see, I'm going to melt part of it here in just a minute because I got impatient by waiting for it to dry and I used a little bit of heat. But I would encourage you, if you're going to use this material, definitely do not use your heat gun or blow dryer. I'm going to need one more section here for the top so I don't get like that seam that was on the top of the bag. And I'm just going to glue this part on here too. I find it easier to get a couple straight edges like that, and it's because it's easier to cut off from the back as well. This was me being impatient, and look what it did. But luckily, it melted the fabric over on the side where I didn't need it. But that's why I was trying to be patient because I knew that was going to happen. and then cut another hole there for the hanger. I can use the hanger that came with it, but this time I want the knots to be on the front. So I just fed that through, and then I can just knot it here on this side. This was such a fun DIY, and one of the only shore living items I can find this year at some of my Dollar Trees are these little beach shapes like this, like the dolphins or the sea turtles or something like that. So I'm going to use some of my dolphins. If you wanted to switch it up and do different creatures, you could, but I like the fact that they're kind of all the same. I think it's going to form a nice stripe. And these are like the little makeup sponges that I get on Amazon. I think I have those in my Amazon shop. They're really inexpensive since I haven't been able to find them at Dollar Tree forever. And I kind of gave up asking. But I'm going to paint those with a couple of coats of white to really make these pop against those red flag stripes. Once I get those all painted and dry, we can start putting this together. So I'm going to have like the red stripe on top, and then the white stripe will be 2 white dolphins kind of end to end here. And I'm going to do the same thing on every one. So for these 2 top ones, I have enough for 2 dolphins. On the bottom 2 rows, I have enough room for 4 dolphins. And so I just glue those all on. This project had so many fun different textures on it. I really love how it turned out. It was so easy. This is it, our little palm tree and dolphin flag for the 4th of July. I love it. Look how cute that turned out. Using some interesting items like napkins, a little craft bag, and some of those little wood shapes from the Dollar Tree.